Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming this nice spring day. I'm Jung Hee-seok, who's going to give a presentation with Kim Hyo-kyung, Moon Soo-bin, and Han Seung-min. Today, we're going to give a mini lesson on poster making using a genre approach, mixing it with a little bit of process approach. Here's what our lesson is going to be like. First, our lesson is aimed to the third graders of middle school, and its main task is to make a poster for school club activity. It is scheduled in the early March when students start joining new club activities. We organize this project into 2 or 3 sessions depending on students' fulfillment. And through these classes, students will be able to understand the main features of a school club poster, and they will be able to write and design a poster, applying some features that they will be taught. Then if everyone's all set, let me begin my lecture. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to Daniel's English class. I'm sure that you guys are really excited to start a new semester. I guess one of the most exciting points of it is to join a new club activity. So, throughout these week's English classes, I would like to let you know some useful tips or writing techniques about your club activity, making a club poster. So here, I have prepared 4 teams in advance so that you can be matched with 4 or 5 other members. You're going to be joining the club and make a poster that's going to promote recruiting. Don't be depressed that there's no club here that you want to join in for real. This is just for practice. So, raise your hands if you want to join in music club. Alright, raise your hands if you want to join in sports club. Alright, how about dance club? And lastly, what about game club? Alright, I'm really glad that each team has an even number of members. Good. Then guys, gather with your group members, please. Okay, everybody, say hi to your club members. I'll give you 3 minutes to talk with each other about why you chose that club, or you can also talk about your own experience about club activities. 3 minutes. Ready? Go! Alright, I hope you fully shared your memories about your club activities. I guess almost all of you have at least one club activity memory. Then, I'd like to pose a question here. Guys, how did you join the club? How were you able to get to know about that club and how did you join them? Suzy? Maybe I remember seeing some posters. Exactly. Especially these days, you can easily see some posters on our classroom boards or on any walls that's waiting for someone to come and join the club. And you may also need to make a poster to recruit new members for your own club. That is exactly why we're going to make our poster throughout our classes for this week. Alright then, let's take a closer look at how things are organized in club posters. I'll give you this handout. Everybody's got your own? Alright, look at the first page of it. There are 2 examples of club posters which we'll be making in a moment. Take a closer look at it and find out some important, common, and necessary features that posters should have. For your convenience, I split it into 3 sections. So first, you have to find out what information they should have. Mina, could you read the directions below? What sorts of information are included in these posters? Write down the types of information that are included in each poster. Are there any similarities or differences between the information presented in these posters? Thank you, thank you. For example, of course, club posters have the name of it and the meeting day or the place or etc. You can write down some common features that they have, the common information that they have. Okay, let's move on to the second section. Changyan, could you read the second direction? What grammatical features can you find in these posters? Write them down. Okay, secondly, you guys can check out some language features that postals commonly have. For example, you can check what kind of sentences are being used in posters. Last but not least, okay, Aesop, could you read the direction? Notice visual elements in these posters such as picture, font, both size and style, and configuration, how elements of the poster are arranged. Write down the elements that you found effective and the ones that you did not find effective. Last but not least, you should check the design features. What do you see with regard to visual effects? For example, where to put the name of the club, what size of font we use, or etc. Okay, I'll give you 10 minutes to fill in the blank of the worksheet with your group members. Mina, what do we do? Fill out the blank of the handout. Okay, Sana, for how long? For 10 minutes. Momo, by yourself or with your group? With my group. Okay, everybody, ready, set, go, go. Alright, guys, let's share together what your group has discussed. Let's get started from the first section about information. What information should our poster contain? Who'd like to give it a shot? Nayan. It should have some information about the name of the club, where and when the club meets, and contact numbers or etc. Perfect job. Then let's move on to the second section. What about some language features? What could you guys find out on the poster? Junghyun. Well, our group found out that when we make poster, we don't have to make full-length sentence. Good point, Junghyun. When you make your poster, you don't have to make full sentence. For example, you can see some short sentences like 1, 2, join in fun Minecraft missions, 1, 2, play with your old friends, like using 1, 2 phrases. Why do you think they use this short form of sentences? That is because it's much more appealing to the viewers who has to catch the information very quickly. So you should focus on these language features, right? Okay, shall we move on to the final section? What about the design? Isaac. Well, we thought for highlighting some important information, we could make the font bigger or thicker. Exactly. Here, especially for posters, visual content is way important. So when you guys make your own poster, please remember that you should make it as much visually appealing as possible. Oh, I should weigh in here. At this demonstration, we are just briefly showing what we expect and hope to happen in the classroom situation. Of course, so in the real class, students may have difficulty finding out the answers our teachers prepared in advance, or they can even come up with some creative answers that we could not have imagined. So, if important information is missing, is not dealt with during the student's presentation, then the teacher will introduce them properly. Or if some novel information comes out from the students, then, of course, we are going to incorporate it into our class. Guys, thank you for your ideas. Then, so could you guys turn your page to number 3? There is a checklist for your poster to check if there's any information missing after you finish making your poster. So we are going to complete these checklists all together now, and we'll be using it to check your poster as well. First, I'll give you 5 minutes to talk about some elements that you can fill in with your group members. Oh, if you take a look at it, I already put some examples in it, like place where club meetings will be held, time when club meeting will be held. What else can be included? Discuss with your group members. I'll give you 5 minutes. Well, guys, let's share your ideas and confirm our class poster making checklists. Group 1, could you guys share your checklists? Group 2, Group 3. Perfect job, guys. Well done, well done. Well, then our class poster checklist is number 1, place, number 2, time, number 3, explanation about the activities, number 4, contact number, and number 5, the way to join in, etc. I should weigh in here again. In the real class, we're going to make the checklist as fully as we can. In order to do that, we should spend more time in this section to complete and confirm our class's own shared one checklist. Please remember that this is just a demonstration. At last, we finally reached the time to make your own posters. Woo! First, I'll give you 10 minutes to brainstorm about your club activities. What exactly you're going to do in your club, whom you'd like to recruit. You also have to decide the title of your club, etc. Discuss first about your own club activities before your poster making. Mina, for how long? 10 minutes. Sana, about what? About our imaginary club. Alright, ready, go! Alright, is every group done? Then, if you guys take a look at the last page of the handout, there's a huge space for your poster. So here, you're going to make your own poster for your club. For the remaining time of today's class, try to make the first draft of your club poster. Remember, guys, this is not the very final version of yours, so you don't have to be perfect at this time, but think as creatively as you can. I'll be walking around the class, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay, everyone, please show your own creativity. Ready? Go! That's it for class session number 1. At this session, we first introduced what's going to happen throughout the whole week classes. So students are to make their club posters, being grouped in each imaginary club. This was the engaging stage. Following it, during the first session, we tried to focus on the genre analysis. Throughout these activities, students could learn what elements are used and highlighted in the genre posters, examining some examples of authentic club posters. After that, the class completed their own checklist, which is also be used during the following session to give feedback and revise their own. And at the end of the class, they created their first draft of their own club posters. Session number 2 is following, mainly dealing with feedback and revising, which is core elements of process approaches, and it's also going to be dealing with presentation session, which is the final stage of our classes. I'll not demonstrate all the details of the class, but briefly explain what's going to happen in this session. So at the beginning of the class, students are to check and revise their own club posters using the checklist which they made on their own last session. Throughout this stage, they will be able to discover their own mistakes by themselves. Right after that, each group rotates their works so that they can check what others has made and give feedback to each other. Here, the teacher is going to give a concrete criterion to make students clear on what they should talk about others' work, including, for example, what is good about their poster, if there's any interesting points or creative points, or what should be supplemented, what's lacking to that posters, or etc. After the group discussion on giving feedback to other groups' work, they will be presenting it to the class. While this presentation, the teacher can also weigh in to give some feedback to make their work more perfect. Throughout all these stages, each team gets then three kinds of feedback in total: self-feedback, peer feedback, and teacher's feedback. So using all these resources, students are to make their final products. At this stage, students must complete both writing and designing for their posters. At the very last stage of the class, the students will have an opportunity for presenting their final work. Their presentation must include first, brief explanation about the club. Number two, how they designed their poster and why they chose to do that. Number three, in which part they decided to accept the feedback and made revision. After all these stages, the class can also vote for the best club posters. That's it for our class. And finally, let me explain why we designed our classes like this. Oh, before that, let me explain our rationales for our lessons approach choice. We used mainly genre approach and mixed it with process approach. First of all, why we used mainly genre approach? Number one, focus on meaning. In a sense, writing is a communicative act that aims to deliver one's message as effectively as possible. Therefore, writing lessons must teach students how to convey their intended messages to the full extent before teaching them to do so in a grammatically correct manner. Genre approach, which focuses on meaning rather than form, makes such lessons possible. Number two, relevant and indispensable. Genre approach can make students realize that writing is a relevant and indispensable activity which must not be neglected when learning a language. Genres such as an email, letter, or posters are highly connected to students' lives. Writing in these genres will help students ease their fear of writing as a formidable and irrelevant task, and instead realize that it is an essential part of one's life. Secondly, why we use the process approach. Number one, aiding students to improve their imperfect writings. Since Korean students do not have many opportunities to write in English, it is highly unlikely that they will produce an impeccable piece of writing at the first attempts. Students will have to revise their works multiple times, during which teachers' feedbacks can serve as helpful guidance. Process approach allows teachers to incorporate this whole process of writing, receiving feedbacks, revising into writing lessons. Throughout these lessons, students will be able to improve their imperfect writings and sharpen their writing skills based on feedbacks from the instructors or competent students. Number two, making writing less burdensome for students. Since the process approach embraces the imperfections of the first draft, students may feel less burdened with pressure to produce an errorless work at the first attempts. And number three, allowing students to understand the whole process of writing. As the process approach allows students to understand the process of writing in its entirety, meaning that they now know which steps to take in order to create a well-written final draft. They may find writing less daunting and become more confident of the task than before. Number one, relevance. The task is highly relevant to students as most of them will participate or already participating in school club activities. This lesson is scheduled to take place in March when school clubs usually recruit new members. Therefore, this will be increasing its relevance even more, we thought. Number two, task difficulty. Since posters usually do not include a lot of sentences as we mentioned during the first session, middle school students who are the target student of this course will not find the task difficult that much. Number three, student interests. Students will find the task engaging because they can choose a club of their interest at the very beginning of the class. And the genre poster per se, it mixes the writing with the design elements. So students will be able to engage fully in the class regardless of their English fluency. Last but not least, number four, group activity. We expect that group works will be conducive to the lesson as students of lower proficiency can cooperate with skilled students to create a piece of writing. So in this regard, students will be able to learn how they can collaborate with one another. Alright, that's it for our class, making a school club poster using genre and process approach. I hope you enjoyed our presentation as much as we did. Thank you.